那么果参就到了伯克莱大学，跟着他就跟他的哥哥从俄亥俄州出来，然后今天又来清法，已经50多年的这个老朋友、老佛友哈，善缘。Okay, here we go. We're going to invite the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to draw near. We can do that with a melody. Welcome to join me, please do. 我们现在迎请华严海会佛菩萨还有天龙八部护法上身。如果我们诚心如法去做的话，他们会来参加，加持各位听众，现在80多位哈。那么无形中呢，如果我们诚心呢，就合掌，就请诸佛菩萨，他们不会拒绝了，他们就在这儿，希望有人对华严经有一点认识，对华严经有一种诚心，可以了啊。好。Fresh strings on the banjo. We would like to respectfully acknowledge the Pomo people who practice spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here in their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 这是我们恭敬地承认 Pomo 人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权、第一民族的原住民致敬。Let's see here. Here we go. We have a very special bell for the bell song. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众相传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，礼报他脑后的。Pretty special. Little piece of metal like that makes such a pure sound. Okay. And what's more, we'd like to welcome everybody who is with us today. 欢迎各位来参加. We have friends from Ukiah, from Washington State, from Vancouver, British Columbia, from Shanghai, from Los Angeles, from Santa Clara, Alameda, Saratoga, Taipei, Calgary, Montreal, Seattle. Oh boy. From Malaysia, from CTDB, from Beijing. Okay, good. From Oregon, Jan is here. See here, Berkeley Hills, Northern California, Seattle, Alameda, San Francisco, Bay Area, Bothell, Washington, Alameda. Okay, Sarah and Michael are somewhere in the Ukiah area. Mountain View, Alameda. A lot of Alameda friends here today. Ukiah again. Okay, Calgary, Ukiah, USA. Yep. Okay, Vancouver. Then we switch over to this side of the world. Due to the miracle of modern technology, we can do that. Taipei, Beijing, Malaysia, Liaoning, Anhui, Heilongjiang, Liaoning, Beijing, Tianjin, Henan, Xi'an, Anhui, Zhejiang, 福建、湖南 ，OK， 哪里？湖南应该长沙吧？温哥华、吉林、安徽、河北、苏州、北京、湖北、黄冈，河北唐山 ，OK， 北京、昆明、北京人多今天，是吗？江苏南京哈，海南 ，OK， 黑龙江哈尔滨，吉隆坡、辽宁。广东南部的人比较少啊，深圳那是南部，洛阳中部，台北江苏河南呀，我们这样算是不是天气冷的地方，大家对于佛法比较认识，会不会这么说 ？Could it be the case that we've decided we got some empirical data here to suggest that cold weather countries produce more Buddhist disciples or more sincerity? No, don't want to go there. All right. Hey, we've got a very interesting piece of Dharma today. We're closing in, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we got 7 more of our vows, and these vows are massive bodhisattva vows. Transference wishes. Used to be something simple, just a line or two. Now, some of the bodhisattvas' transference wishes are many pages. I'm sorry, let me say that again. The entire, I won't even try to interpret. I'll just take you there and we can see it. Okay? 就说现在菩萨他回向愿很长很长，真的不是说复杂，就是说微细，很微妙，有好几个细节。那么我们回向的时候，是不是当然比第9回向菩萨的回向愿简单，就说回向给世界和平，回向给一切众生皆共成佛道，那很好。现在呢，菩萨他发的回向愿，哇，种种阶段，哇，好几层。 So we're not competing. We're trying to get inspiration from the Bodhisattva on the Avatamsaka's ninth transference to focus our own transference of merit. But think about how we transfer. What was your wish? Do you have a prayer list? I know a lot of good Catholics and Protestants who have prayer lists. Every day they pray for people, and I know some pastors who carried a notebook in their pocket, and they would add people to their prayer list with a pencil and then pray for them every day. So how do we transfer merit? How do we send out that goodness? The Bodhisattva in the ninth transference does it in profound ways. I mean, wait till you see, okay? All right. You don't have any choice, do you? Because I'm controlling the computer. Here we go. Let's start with this one right here. The Chinese is 以无着无负解脱心修普贤行得了一切众生语言清净智一切言辞具足庄严普应众生皆令欢喜 May all cultivate Samantabhadra's practices with a liberated mind, free from attachments and bonds, attaining the pure wisdom that understands the languages of all living beings. May they superbly perfect all languages and expressions that resonate with all living beings, thereby delighting their hearts. Okay, beautiful wish. Let's look at the Chinese first and get the nuances here and see. Now, again, we're doing this exercise. We're opening the sutra, finding the right sequence, doing it respectfully, then translating these pieces of Dharma. And then, so there's the linguistic side of it. We think we know what it says, but what does it mean? And it picks up meaning when it connects with the human heart, when it connects with your sense of usefulness and how it can interact with the details of your world. That's when it gets meaningful. So let's see if we can take the pieces here and connect with the Bodhisattva's heart. 那么我们打开《华严经》就知道这一段怎么说他用这个文字来翻译，然后我们可以说他怎么说的，可是他是什么意思？那要等我们人的心，还有我们每天的所行所做，就连接起来，那才是有意思没意思哈。好了，那我们就详细分析看看它什么意思。来 ，OK。This is the boilerplate that happens. There are 60 of these. So he, the Bodhisattva, with a xin, a mind, which is a jietuo xin, a liberated mind, which is a wu fu, no ties, liberated mind, nothing tying it up, no hang-ups. Wu zhao, nothing that he clings to. So this could be the, what would you say, the inductive and the deductive? No, this is the, here is the objective. So the individual, you don't cling to anything, and there's nothing external to you that ties you up. So you, in fact, are liberated. So with an attitude that is liberated, because there are no external or internal ties, using that mind, this word is the conjunct preposition, so using by means of, with a mind that is liberated, untied, and grabbing onto nothing. Objective and subjective, that's what I was looking for. So this is the subjective part, you're not doing it, and the objective part, nothing external ties you up. That's the mind that you transfer with, that I transfer with. Don't you wish? Someday. 就说菩萨他用一种心 来回向。什么样的心呢？一个解脱心。什么样的解脱心？怎么会解脱呢？因为无福。福呢，就说外在没有什么业障，没有什么束缚了，没有什么因缘把你绑起来了，那是外在的，那是主观客观呢无着，没有什么你自己放不下的，没有什么我就说应该说欢迎的addicted， 就说没办法支配我，这是里边的执着，这是外在的执着。结果呢，解脱了，用这个心来回向。哪一天我们真的可以做华严经的菩萨，像他这样子修的话，那希望那个时候我们也可以用第九回向菩萨的这种解脱心，用它做什么？修普贤行。其实这个是什么？这是菩萨回向愿，他希望一切众生就可以用这个心，他也用这个心，他希望众生也用这个心。好了，那么就是那个无形。So it's to be precise, the Bodhisattva is using this attitude to cultivate Samantabhadra's practices, and he's also dedicating it to all living beings that they can use Samantabhadra's practices with this mind. And then we get the verb. Here is the verb that makes this function. This is the engine that pulls the train. 然后动词来了得了一切众生语言清净智。So the Bodhisattva wants all living beings to get to understand, to comprehend living beings' language, purity, wisdom. He wants the what? He wants to understand, he wants living beings to understand the knowledge, if we're doing zhi, which would be jnana, the knowledge, pure knowledge, purified knowledge of yuyan, languages of living beings. He wants everybody who receives his transference to be a universal translator. Got it? So that's the vow. That's the Bodhisattva's vow here. Okay, is everybody following along here? 就说他希望一切众生得了一切众生语言，得到一种清净的知识。清净知识，明白众生语言是。Okay, whew, there we go. How many languages do you speak? If you grow up in Oklahoma, if you grow up in, Nebraska, if you grew up in Montana, if you grew up in, where else? Northern Queensland or Western Australia, chances are you have not heard lots and lots and lots of languages growing up. Why? Everybody speaks the heartland language. Everybody speaks English. Everybody speaks Aussie English. Right? So, however, should you be born in Kuala Lumpur, for example, there's a really good chance that every day you heard Hokkien, maybe you heard Hakka, Kejiahua, maybe you heard Guangdonghua, maybe you heard Guoyu, Putonghua, and you certainly heard Bahasa Malaysia. So every individual growing up has, in any given day, will run across people who are speaking 5 or 6 languages. Maybe if you add Hindi, suppose you're part of Singaporean Little India, you know. So if you grow up in Vietnam, near the coast, chances are you speak Cantonese, Vietnamese, maybe Mandarin, right? So if you grow up in Taiwan, you've heard every day Taiwanese, maybe your parents spoke Japanese and Mandarin. Maybe if you went to school, you get English. So there are parts of the world where multilingual reality is just the way it is because you run into those people all day long. Certainly, Singapore, for example, and Hong Kong, let's say, are such small geographical areas, so everybody's crammed in together, and you're on the bus, you're on the subway, you're you're studying with multicultural people. If you grew up in Kansas City, although Kansas City does have lots of a vibrant immigrant population, chances are you only encounter folks who speak English. So the Bodhisattva, this kind of transference wish is very, very useful for somebody living in a multicultural society, maybe in an urban situation. 所以这么一个愿哈，这个菩萨的愿就是前半部这个愿这个愿前半部。如果在这么一个回向愿呢，哪里有用呢？就说如果你长大，你我们现在111个观众那么100个人，有差不多一半是在西方，差不多一半是在东方，还有这里我们澳大利亚那个。如果我就举一个例子，我们庙上在伯克莱那里，我们有一个沙弥，这个沙弥是在吉隆坡长大，他呢会讲5个语言，会听6个语言。他母语是Hokkien，他母语是广东话，他也会听得懂 Hokkien，客家话差不多，还有Bahasa Malaysia，还有英文，还有普通话，那么这是每一天他心里都可以翻译，因为老板可能是讲英语或者国语那么同学都是讲Bahasa还有广东话，家里母亲讲Hokkien，那么就这样子，每天遇到这些情形，要跟人沟通，必须要懂那么多语言了，要会那么多语言了，那么我有同学在 Ohio 州长大呢，1个语言了。他们每天所遇到的人就是普通的美国人讲英文，没有别的机会碰到别人。他们如果有特别的天才，他们读书的时候可以选择法国话或者德国话、西班牙话，不多了So my example is at Berkeley Monastery, our novice monk grew up in Kuala Lumpur. And just to get through the day, when he talked to his mother, she spoke Cantonese. His classmates spoke Hokkien. Everybody studied Bahasa, Malaysia, in school. It was a law. To get his degree in accounting, he had to learn English. And then he runs into people who are Hakka, so 客家话. So every day, he's speaking 4 or 5 or 6 languages. He can understand more than he can speak, but he hears them all day long. So my classmates in high school, growing up in Toledo, in the heartland, most of them spoke English, only, ever, because they simply had no opportunity to meet folks who spoke other languages. So here the Bodhisattva is going to be this vow is very useful in an urban setting. 所以菩萨发这么一个愿可能在小小的地方，像香港或者新加坡 那个人多地方小，所以必须要懂得很多语言了。你如果在远远的新疆长大呢，新疆也是丝绸之路，可能在甘肃啊那里，你就地方口音还有普通话可能两个。如果你有机会读书啊，可以选择俄罗斯俄文啊，或者英文啊，或者其他的语言啊，机会不多。Now, the next part, let's take a look here. We've just been riffing on the top half of this vow. Let's see here. Okay, so he wants the second part of the language is 一切言辞具足庄严. This person is going to speak in a way, he says, may all living beings also understand language, and may all the words they speak, 具足庄严, be fully adorned. What does that mean? It means the language that they speak will be sublime. It will be excellent, uplifting, kind-hearted, kind-sounding, so that when people hear it, they feel purified by it in all of their choice of languages. So we've been talking, every time we encounter the sutra, talking about language, and that's a lot. This text spends a lot of time talking about language. Why is that? Because bodhisattvas are always interested in communicating. They're the greatest of communicators because that's how they teach and transform. That's how their vows get accomplished. So the bodhisattvas are really interested in learning how to speak so that people understand, not only understand, but accept what they say. So he says, I want anyone who gets my dedication to have everything they say be fully excellent, sublime, really nice to listen to. There is a whole new, relatively new, in my experience, field of scholarship that talks about caste, particularly in terms of African American experience. But if we look, when you hear caste, you think of India right away, because Gandhi was struggling with the rigidity of the caste structure in India and trying to make it more fluent, flowing, so that it wasn't a question of your parents' status. It was a question of your own initiative and your talents. So that system of dividing society based on rigid birth and birthplace, often, when it's applied to Europe, it gets a very interesting perspective. And I have friends who describe growing up in northern England, and my friend says, yes, well, I'm working class. And the working class has, there's your chances of progressing into wealth, into positions of power in government or in industry, etc., have to do with the language that you speak. Caste is identified through language. And it's a very, for an American, from an American perspective, where, you know, Horatio Alger, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and if you speak fancy talk, you're a suspect. You're considered to be an egghead, not trustworthy by the common working man. In England, it's a very different situation in Great Britain, where someone who has this ability, within a couple sentences of the language you speak, know exactly where you went to school and what your horizon will be. There's posh British language, British English. There's the received pronunciation spoken in the BBC, there's regional dialects, and then there are subcultures of slang and working class language. So hearing my friend describe his situation growing up in the North, I had no idea that language was the key to predicting everything about your income, your status, who you could marry, the kind of job you would have, and how you would vote, etc., etc. So for the Bodhisattva to transfer merit with the wish that the 言辞, 一切言辞, all the words you speak will be 具足庄严, will be very sublime, excellent, dignified, eloquent, right? This is, maybe the Bodhisattva has an insight into the power of language to determine the quality of your life. 菩萨他就继续回向，就说希望一切言辞具足庄严，受到我回向的功德的众生，他们讲的话每一句呢都是非常庄严，具足庄严，大家听了就心里清凉，大家听了就会尊重，马上知道这个人是有功德，这是他的愿力啊。那么我是美国人长大，美国是个人主义哈，我们的这个国家的文化有一些故事就做文化的根本，文化的我们这个文化的基础是什么呢？平等，每一个人都有平等成功的机会，就说穷人也可以做总统这样子，从最低的阶级都可以成最高的权力的人，就是这么一个故事。那所以我就长大就是有这种的信仰。没想到我有朋友，他是在英国长大，他说他自己是劳工阶级的英国人了。他呢说一般在英国听你讲话一句两句三句，马上知道你将来会跟谁结婚，马上知道你赚的钱会赚的多少，听你讲几句话，马上知道你的工作会怎么样，你会不会做领导或者呢你就一辈子就受人家的欺负或者分配他说对了，英国是有阶级制度，好像印度差不多4种阶级。他说没错，听到你讲的语言是不是具足庄严，我们马上知道你前途是怎么样子，就是这么硬巴巴的那么我说真的吗？就说对了，教育就英国有最高的就是贵族讲的英文，还有这个普通受教育的这个人的英语，还有地方口音的英语，还有一般的这个俗语。那么劳工阶级就讲最低的，马上一听了就知道了很有限量你的前途，这是我想不到的所以呢，菩萨他这个回向的这个言辞他希望众生受到他的功德都会具足庄严，每一句话所以华严经呢，为什么讲语言讲那么多了？因为菩萨他怎么样教化众生，就用语言此土真教体，清净在音文对了所以还有我们还没有讲完了这个回向愿This our first dedication vow today has got a third piece in it. So number one he says, I want all living beings to use a unbound, unfettered, liberated mind to cultivate Samantabhadra's practices, and that by means of that, that's the engine that propels them to get the wisdom, pure wisdom of living beings' languages. Furthermore, every word they say will be precise and fine, so that, here's part 3, 普应众生皆领欢喜. So whenever anybody hears a word they say, they'll be delighted, they'll be happy. 普应众生, when it, this is the yin here that carries the weight of this, that when it responds, the words they say, when it hits living beings' minds, they will be pleased, they'll be delighted. 好，那么这个回向愿呢，第一呢，他说希望众生可以用修普信行，然后就他们心里就得到一种无着无缚解脱的状况，然后呢，他们就从那个境界就会了解一切众生语言的清净的智慧，用这个清净的智慧让他们所讲的话一切言辞具足庄严。然后呢，第3个地步呢，就说普应到众生的机缘，他们都欢喜，皆领欢喜。他们听到菩萨讲的一句，或者自己众生讲的一句，就具足庄严，让我听了也有很欢喜。Okay, you got that? Man, what a vow. So what's cool about this vow is there's a cause and an effect in the vow. It's like, I want them to get this, and then because of getting that, when they use that, this will happen. So he's got a whole story in each vow. 每一个回向愿都讲一个故事。Ready for number 2. Whew, language. So cool. Okay, wait, before we leave that one, tell me, I know you can't, but think about who speaks in a way that as soon as you hear their voice, there are chemical changes that are set off inside your mind. Assuming you had a good relationship with your parents, then your mother's voice would be one. That as soon as you hear it, there are, I know some folks, when they hear a voice from home, somebody who speaks with the rhythm and the cadence and the musicality or the flatness of the language they heard growing up, immediately has a sense of comfort, of trust, of relaxation. They can let go of their doubts or their defenses, simply because it resonates with the sounds of home. Language is it's certainly we hear it through the ear, but we also hear it through the skin. But the power of language is so powerful. But it's not only, it's funny, it's not only language, this is the focus here, but other sounds too. For example, when they asked an Australian astronaut what he wanted to hear, that would, he wanted they asked the astronaut to bring something with them that was a piece of their home, so that out in space, orbiting the moon or wherever they were, they would feel most at home. The Australian picked the sound of the kookaburra, the laughing bird. That was the thing that relaxed them and made their heart feel connected to their home. So the power of sound. What kind of a voice would it be for you, I wonder? 大家想想看，就跟着这种普应众生皆令欢喜这种的愿力，如果你可以听到一种语言，应该是谁的声音就令你欢喜啊，身体就轻松放松，所有的恐怖、所有的紧张啊，所有的这个烦恼都会放下。哪一个声音是人的声音呢？应该或者你母亲的声音，或者你奶奶那个公公爷爷他们的声音，你听了哦，那你心里就暖和了。是什么声音呢？啊，他们问太空员，他们说你在那个太空船里边绕着月亮，就在那个 space station， 你要带着什么东西，你都会想家了，你都会觉得一种故乡的温暖。那个从澳大利亚那个太空员他说 kookaburra 的声音，这个 kookaburra 是会笑之鸟，就说澳大利亚东部、西部、中部没有这个沙漠没有了，不过东部呢，每天2次都会听到 kookaburra 的声音，就是太阳还没起来半个小时，这个如果有 kookaburra 附近，他们就这样子。然后呢，太阳落之后半个小时，他们又一次，每天2次。长大从小第一天你从母亲的胎出来了，都会听到这个声音，所以那个澳大利亚的这个太空员他说，我听到那个鸟的声音了，就欢喜了那么你呢？是你最喜欢的声音是什么？令你欢喜了。Okay, so we have Australian astronauts and kookaburras. Is this an interesting section of text or what? Here we go. 以无着无负解脱心，住普贤行，立殊胜智，具清净心，得广大神通，广大智慧，普以一切广大世间、广大国度、广大众生所说一切如来不可说广大法，广大庄严圆满藏。Wow. May all abide in Samantabhadra's practices with a liberated mind free of attachments and bonds. Having brought forth supreme aspirations, may they be replete with a pure mind, attain great spiritual powers and wisdom, reach all great worlds and lands, as well as places where living beings reside, and teach the ineffably extensive Dharma of all Tathagatas, which is the vast, adorned, and perfect treasury. Whew. Okay, we're not going to unpack this one over 40 minutes, but it's just, yeah. So, okay, here's our boilerplate. Take a look. By means of an liberated mind, which is not tied up and not attached, may all living beings abide in Samantabhadra's practices. Okay, this is the boilerplate. We have it every vow, but let's not take it for granted. What does that mean? That means that this Bodhisattva wants us all to bow, praise, offer, repent, rejoice, request, study, accord, and transfer. All the time. So that these 10 things become our anchor to the Buddha Dharma. This is how we cultivate. This is our baseline. This is our downbeat for the rest of our cultivation. And I know we have 113 of us listening. People, especially disciples of Master Hsuan Hua, have a whole repertoire. Is that a whole menu? That's computer world. A menu of practices that we can choose from every day. Some of us recite mantras, Da Bei Zhou, Om Mani Padme Hum, right? Some of us recite sutras. Some of us bow. Some of us do karma yoga. We're in service to living beings. Others are translators or cooks or carpenters or people who adorn the monastery, decorate the monastery with beautiful things. All these different ways of cultivating, right? Bringing it back to the mind. If we pick out of all those choices, 84,000 Samantabhadra's practices, and just let that be kind of always in mind, we're heading to the next opportunity to bow, or we've just left the last opportunity to bow or praise or make offerings, etc. Those 10 deeds are things that we do in the monastery every day, the things we can do at home every day. And with that, with those 10, Master Chengguan, who is our, alongside our teacher, who is kind of our guide into the Avatamsaka, the Tang Dynasty monk, he said these 10, Pu Shen Heng, are the keys to cultivation. This is it. And if we dedicate ourselves somewhere inside those 10 different behaviors, we are on the path to Buddhahood directly. So that's where this comes from. 好的，那么我们就说这个是无形，以无着无缚解脱心，然后呢，住普贤行，修普贤行，圆满普贤行等等。我们先讲几句哈。那么清凉果师，所谓华严菩萨，唐朝的我们的大善知识，他说普贤行愿是修行华严经的钥匙，就是他说关节就是门的一个那个门开关这个地方那个门釉啊。那么讲什么呢？礼敬称赞供养就说礼敬称赞供养忏悔邀请两个请就说随喜不妒忌然后请转法轮请佛住世，然后常学恒顺，然后回向，这10个行为。如果我们把这10个每天在家或者在道场修行的方法，84000法门里边10个，我们现在各位观众很多不同修行的方法，很多，这是汉传佛教，我们很多84000。如果84000里边就把这10个当每一天修道的一个菜单menu， 就像你的软体的菜单、软件的菜单，或者就说这是我们的怎么说呢？修行的这个主要的行为，我们把24个小时，一天24个小时，把一部分放在这10个行为，那就清凉果师就说这是成就佛道的最快的方法好了 ，OK， so moving ahead here, take a look. Abide in Samantabhadra's practices. Now, take a look. Having 立殊胜智 okay, having brought forth supreme aspirations. Okay, 智, that word here, willpower, like will. Having brought forth a 殊胜, so a will is something that you li, you establish, you set up extraordinarily winning, victorious willpower, comma, that's the condition. Here comes the verb. 具清净心. May they, I'm going to stick with the Chinese for a minute here. May they be replete with a pure attitude, purified thoughts. May they gain, this is the verb, get. May they get, obtain. Then there's a bunch of guangdas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 guangdas that follow. Guang is broad like this. Da is big like this. So huge. May they get huge psychic powers. Then we just have to continue the get, the obtain. May they obtain huge psychic powers. May they obtain huge wisdom. May they, 普益, in all directions, visit huge worlds. Gain, let's see, huge worlds, huge countries, huge dwelling places where living beings live, so that they can, are you still following? So it's kind of like a zoom camera, we're zooming in, like a drone, where they can speak, here's our next verb, 一切如来不可说广大法. The huge Dharma, which is inexpressible, the huge inexpressible Dharma that all Tathagatas speak. And gain, here's the last one, a huge, magnificent, perfect treasury. This one leaves you kind of short at the end. So the translator here said, which is a vast, adorned, and perfect treasury. Yeah, sort of. You could sort of make it that way. Which is a Guangda Zhuangyi, which, and I think it continues the de here. That's the last verb, except for the, well, no. We had the get, then we had the visit, then we had the speaking. So again, it's a story. In this single vow is a whole story. How this Bodhisattva wants living beings to use this liberated mind to set up a will, to perfect their mind, their thoughts, to purify all their thoughts, so that they can get psychic powers, great wisdom, and with that, go to lands, go to worlds, go to countries, go to houses, to speak the inexpressible, huge Dharma of the Tathagatas, and thereby gain a huge, magnificent, complete storehouse, treasury. Something like that? Make sense? 好了，就说菩萨的愿是这样子，他会相公的说，希望一切众生得无着无用无着无负解脱心，住普贤恒。然后呢，他们就立志，他们就发愿，殊胜的愿。这个殊胜愿呢，也是用清净心，具清净心，然后动词是什么？得什么？广大，有7个广大，广大神通，得广大智慧。用广大神通、广大智慧去一切广大世间，一切世间里边的广大的国度啊，一切广大的国度里边的广大众生所，到哪里去做什么呢？说一切如来不可说广大法，到这些地方讲法、说法，就得到广大庄严。庄严圆满，庄严圆满上啊，这么好的一个，怎么这么好的一个愿 ？OK， 到底呢是什么？就说希望众生可以自己去为众生说法 ，right? So the point of that one is what? May all living beings go to places and speak Dharma. Yep. How do they do it? Sometimes with music, sometimes without music. In America, Shifu told me to use music. 他们意思是说，希望众生就可以去，可以去有众生的地方，然后到哪里就说法，让众生开悟。有的时候就用音乐。在美国就用音乐Here we go. Let me tell you about the person of the way. He's got little left to learn. He's got nothing left to say. He doesn't chase his foolish thoughts. He doesn't seek what's true. To find his Buddha nature, he just lets ignorance do. This body is illusory. It's empty, just a show. But to find the Dharma body, you got nowhere else to go. Wake up that Dharma body, there's nothing there at all. The nature, the primal source, the Buddha in the hall. The shadows 5 are empty clouds, floating as they go. The poisons 3 are fragile bubbles drifting on the flow. When your wisdom's real, people and dharmas both are gone. In a finger snap, your karma's done, the stuff that drags you down. If my words are senseless noise, if I put you on, send me to hell where tongues are pulled, I'll stay there from now on. Zheng shi xiang wu ren fa, cha na mie che er bi ya, rao jiang wang yu kuang zhong sheng, si jiao ba she chen xia jie. Suddenly you taste the chan of the thus come one. Perfection 6, the myriad gates inside you now are done. While you dreamt, you lived them all, the 6 destinies. Now you're awake, the whole wide world is empty as can be. Tun jiao liao ru lai chan, liu du wan hang ti zhong yuan, 须，脚后空空无八千。All right, enough of that. Moving back to our Bodhisattva. Here we go. Let's do one more. Look at this. This is amazing. 以无着无负解脱心，成满普贤回向宏愿，得一切佛清净身、清净心、清净界，摄佛功德，助佛境界，智印普照，示现普贤清净之业，善入一切差别具义，是诸佛菩萨广大自在，为一切众生现成正觉。Amazing. May all perfect Samantabhadra's conduct and vows of dedication with a liberated mind free of attachments and bonds. May they attain all Buddha's pure bodies, pure mind, and pure understanding. Embrace the Buddha's merits. Abide in the Buddha's state. Illuminate all places with the wisdom mudra. Manifest the pure deeds of a bodhisattva. Skillfully understand the various nuances of sentences and phrases. Manifest the vast self-mastery of all Buddhas and bodhisattvas, and manifest the realization of perfect awakening for all living beings. Okay, wisdom mudra, did I miss a yin? Pu yin, okay. Zhi yin pu zhao, there we go. Okay, so this is it's the bodhisattva is making a vow just like any other dedication wish, but look at how detailed and rich this wish is. The bodhisattva has sketched out we don't just have the skeleton black and white. We've got the flesh and blood and all of the features of a lifetime of cultivation in this wish. So it's the 9th stage out of 10 stages. So at this point, the Bodhisattva's transference has got 4 dimensions. Okay, there's spirit as well. So I guess no surprise that these are such profoundly articulated, specific wishes for the Bodhisattva to make. 菩萨现在用很仔细的愿，就好像写，如果是作家的话，就写了众生受到菩萨回向功德的众生，就是给他写一个生平的一个故事，好像3度都包括在内。这不是黑白，这是填这个彩色的相片啊，告诉我们这不是相片，这是video，这是电影，因为好像众生受到之后就活动起来了。Okay, so same. May all perfect Samantabhadra's practices and vows of dedication. 以无着无负解脱心。Okay, with the liberated mind free of attachments bond. So our translator changed the order, reversed the order. So, 成满普贤回向宏愿. So this one says, I want living beings to get vow number 10, 普皆回向, dedicating merit and virtue universally, everywhere. So he's vow number 10 by means of this unbound, unattached, liberated mind. And then the functions, that's the seed, here's the fruit that comes from the seed. That they will, again, get Buddha's pure bodies and pure minds and pure liberation. That's one unit, that will happen. Number 2, that they will gather together, bring back, integrate 佛功德, the Buddha's merit and virtue. So, which is the Buddha's merit and virtue is the perfection of merit and virtue. They say one, the 10,000 virtues. Meaning what? It just means that all of the covers have been removed from a person's nature. That's how you 摄佛功德. It's not that you get anything, it's that you get rid of what was covering over something you already had. Okay? So, the first one was get the Buddha's pure body, pure thoughts, pure liberation. Second one, they will uncover the Buddha's merit. The third one, abide in the Buddha's state. Okay, then the fourth one, that they will 智印, that the seal of knowledge, jnana, will shine everywhere. 普照. Furthermore, fifth one, 示现, they will reveal, they'll show the bodhisattva's pure karma, purified karma. Meaning what? Meaning behavior that doesn't have a self in it, that's absolutely selfless and unselfish in its enactment. No, as it happens, as the bodhisattva does things, they show their pure, unselfish motives. Okay? 6, puruiche tsubi, that they will be able to enter language. No, they'll be able to integrate language, merge with distinct words and meaning, phrases and meaning. 7, 是诸佛菩萨广大自在, that they will show the Buddha's and Bodhisattva's huge 自在, their independence, their freedom. Every now and then you just use freedom for 自在. And 4 living beings accomplish, show, this is rich, on behalf of living beings, 现成, show the accomplishment of right awakening. Now, this is subtle because it's like you demonstrate. When it's the bodhisattva, you wonder, is it really somebody doing it, or is the bodhisattva doing it expediently to teach? That's interesting, isn't it? It's not a trick, but it's an expedient. This is a demonstration of wisdom. If the bodhisattva has emptied out self, if they've realized the Dharma and the Tao, is there any self there left that is only that bodhisattva, or is every bodhisattva 32 transformations like Guanyin, etc., infinite transformation bodies? The mind goes, okay, 好了. So we had, what, 8? Was it 8 or 9 verbs in here? 就说菩萨用无着无缚解脱心成满普现第10个回向愿，回向普解回向，然后呢，希望一切众生得到这种境界呢，就得什么？一切佛清净身清净心清净解，得3个为一。然后呢，摄受佛功德，摄受不是说从外边得拿了，从左边拿一点，从左边拿一点，拿多了，不是，就说功德是自性功德，已经具足，就因为种种的无明遮盖呢，不知道了，所以佛呢是万德倍，怎么样万德呢？就把这个无明破了，让自性的功德照出来，摄佛功德慢慢的修成了，然后用这个功德助佛的助佛的境界。佛的境界是没有境界，也可以说是每一个所有的境界。然后呢，智印普照一切然后呢，实现什么？菩萨清净的业。 菩萨清净的业是什么呢？就不自私，不自利。然后呢，还有善入一切差别句意，也是语言又出来了，这是方便法。希望众生能讲话，每一句都跟佛法的道理汇合。所以我们听到了，就马上从那个末梢懂得那个根本啊。然后还有呢，是诸佛菩萨广大自在，所行所做的就很微妙，很自在，不执着了。然后最后为一切众生现成正觉。是菩萨真的成正觉吗？还是菩萨的化身？菩萨的化身成正觉，有没有一个我所有，或者就说一个应身方便？那头大了。All right, wow, man, oh man, these vows are just incredible. They give us so much flavor.Indeed, 菩萨的愿力很微妙。Guess what we got? We got something special. Here it is. Scrolling down. 玄奘法师 is very close to Nalanda University.He's just passed through Nepal, and Nepal is where he grew up. What is currently Nepal. Back then it was just northern India. It's where his dad, Sudodana, the purified rice king, had his palace where Prince Siddhartha spent his childhood and then saw old age, sickness, death, and cultivation, an ascetic, and made the Bodhi resolve. So that's where he is. This is where Master Xuanzang is passing through. 玄奘大师呢，现在京都尼泊尔，就是佛在还没出家之前，还没有去修行之前，他就当太子。就他长大的地方，他的爸爸金饭王，不愿意儿子，就知道无常，怕他会发菩提心。然后那天，太子看到生老病死，然后就说老病死，然后一个修行人就发菩提心，就离开皇宫去修行，就是靠近那个地方。Okay, good. Here we go.Right here. Okay. 沙弥伽蓝东大林中行8余里，有速度波，无有王所见，是太子欲成至此，即得宝衣天官，及诸复禅夺家，幻除也。即体法皆有太极，出此 this 太极 OK。塔己就有塔己，皆有塔己。There we go. The master proceeded from the Shramana monastery towards the east through a big forest for 100 li. Here, King Ashoka had built a stupa at the place where the prince, after having come out from the city, took off his royal robe and crown and hair pearls, which he handed over to Chandaka and asked him to send them back home. A stupa also stood at the place where he had cut his hair. Oh boy. This is so full of human emotion. Why? Think of the decision that the prince made at this place. The big change was renunciation. he was able to let go of things that the whole world says are what life is about. Wealth, power, comfort, pleasure. The prince had a fire burning inside that could not be satisfied by ordinary stuff. He really, really wanted to find out the answer to the questions that plagued his mind. Where do I come from? Where do we go after death? Has anybody ever solved that problem? Do I have to die when the time comes? Do I just lay down after being the prince, being the king, being a father, being a husband, all that stuff? Does that just, it all goes to nothing? That didn't make sense to him. And he was able to focus on that thought and then act on that thought. I think many of us have questions, doubts about the point of it all and the seeming meaninglessness of coming into being from who knows where and then going away to who knows where. But to be able to hold that thought and then let stuff go that the whole world would tell you is you're a loser, you're a sucker if you give up the king's throne and all that's involved. But nope, he had to find out. So this is the place where this drama was enacted. 就是这个地方，一个太子，将来可以做国王，他可以做丈夫，他可以做父亲，他可以富有四海，权力所有，就这么一个国王。一半的世间人认为这就是人生最究竟的目标，就是有财产、有权利、有舒服、享受，他一概都不要了，拒绝了。很多人都认为这个人是傻瓜，怎么会这样做？可是他就这样做。这么一个有善根的一个少年，他在7个礼拜，在几天之内看到一个老年人，一个有病痛的人，一个尸体，然后看到一个修行人，他马上，他父亲最要不得不要他儿子经过的经验，他就过了。认识什么？认识无常。就说是国王，就天子啊，到时候一切放下。就说小小的一个零钱带不去，他看到了就感动。那么我相信，各位听众也会经常有这种的问题起来了，就说值得吗？这个人生我们过得那么大的痛苦，为着什么？值得吗？这人生是什么意义？一定会问这个问题了。可是呢，太子那个问题起来了，他就只抓住那个问题，放不下，他要去实行，他要自己去拿到答案了。他心里着个火，他必须要明白人生是什么意思，有没有谁打破生死的关？他要自己不是看书啊，或者什么哲学家，他自己要去对生死这个最大最根本的问题要达到答案了。所以就是这个地方 这里是有这么一个意义的。So the story, this is the Tang Dynasty biographer of Master Xuanzang. He said, so he says, this is where the prince Yu Cheng leapt over the wall. Jie Baoyi took off his prince's treasured robe, Tianguan, his deva floral hat, Ji his pearls and his necklaces, all the things that a prince would wear that ordinary people would never in a lifetime get to touch, much less wear. He took them all off and gave them to his chariot driver, Chanduojia. That's where this was. 就说那个唐朝的就是写玄奘大师的这个生平的故事，就说于成他就跳这个那个皇宫的墙壁，脱下他的这个太子穿的衣服，太子穿的帽子、天冠，然后记住他所有的珠宝。这是一般的老百姓呢，一辈子就不能碰，很少会看到。那个太子就说不要了，付给他的司机传多家，就你把它拿回去。没有，然后呢？糟糕了，礼法剃度，这里有一个塔。最后 so the last thing he did was shaved his head, even his masculine identity, he let that go, which probably he hadn't done in his whole lifetime. Chances are he wore a turban to keep his hair that he had never cut together. And it doesn't mention that he said goodbye to his horse. The horse was a big deal. 因为头发可能一辈子都不剪，所以可能是包头，很多头发在里边了。他没有说对他的一匹马就说再见，说 goodbye， 可能，不过那也是很重要。他们就立个塔在那里。Okay, so that's the story. We are going to dedicate merit, and I have a bright red parrot who's just attached himself to my screen here. Hello there. 一个红色的深红色的鹦鹉踏到我的文字网。你好，等一等，还没讲完了。Okay. Should we, like the Bodhisattva, make a complex wish or a simple wish? I think the most important is that we make a wish. Right? 那么我们发的回向愿是像华严经的菩萨这么复杂，还是就是简单呢？看重要就是诚心的愿。好了。May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Chance to bow to Guanyin Bodhisattva. Don't want to miss that chance. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Ding Li Lao He Shang. Yi Wen Xin. Zai Wen Xin. San Wen Xin. Amitofo. See you all next week, everybody. Thanks for joining. Amitofo.
Thank you, 师父。
See you tomorrow.